وضع حد للتفاقم تلك الأزمة. تود مصر في البداية أن تعرب عن تضامنها التام والكامل مع الشعب السوداني الشقيق في أزمته الحالية، والتي تتفاقم من الأزمات المركبة والمتتالية التي يعاني منها السودان على مدار سنوات عدة، كما تؤكد استعدادها الدائم لتقديم كافة أوجه الدعم للخروج من الأزمة الراهنة
Sudan to exit this crisis and to return the factions in Sudan to return to peace. We are asserting our deep concern for the continuation of the fighting between the Sudanese parties and the violation of the truce between the two sides, which is impacting the civilians in Sudan, a matter which is increasing the necessity of uniting our efforts to prioritize the interests of the Sudanese people. We need to return to negotiation to end the disputes which led to these fightings. Egypt, which it has with history and potentials rooted with Sudan on all levels. Egypt is keen to avoid the bloodshed of the Sudanese people and the return to the stability. And we are supporting all the necessary efforts to find a solution by Sudan, supported by the Arabs, to return to the Sudanese peace and security, with no interference in its internal affairs, and dealing with the current crisis as an internal Sudanese affair. Any political solution should contain all the complicated files. Egypt is insisting that all the state institutions should stay safe and not to be part of the internal or foreign interference in the internal affairs of Sudan, to avoid all regional suffering for any instability that we witnessed in the states in the region. According to this, Egypt made great efforts and many contacts with all the parties in Sudan and the international parties on the states and organizations level to exit this crisis and end this crisis. We talked with Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, the head of the transitional party, and to end this crisis in Sudan and find a proper environment to exit this crisis. Our attendees, Egypt received welcoming more than 57,000 Sudanese refugees. We also exited more than 7,000 foreigners. Also the Egyptian citizens there. We evacuated those people which try to relieve the suffering for those people, as the situation in Sudan is deteriorating. From this position, I assure that we should start immediately the end of the fighting in Sudan and end the bloodshed, and prioritize the humanitarian situation there to protect the safety and security of the Sudanese people and the civilians. I assure that the situation is very sensitive and it has its repercussion on the whole region. So all the parties in the region, and on top of which are the Arab states, should unite their efforts to give the strength needed for a whole move to end the fighting between the different parties and end any aggression and fighting between the parties, and return to negotiation, peaceful negotiation and not to slip into a more deteriorating situation and more dangerous situation on Sudan and its people and the neighboring countries and its regional partners. Again, I value the participation of the Arab states, and Egypt is having faith that this meeting will come out with concrete steps, with the fingerprint of united need for fighting and facing the repercussion of the Sudanese crisis. Finally, I would like to thank the Secretary General and all the Highness and Majesties of the brotherly countries for accepting the invitation for hosting this meeting. Thank you so much. Now I give the speech for the Secretary General. Thank you. My dear brother, Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry, the Foreign Minister of Egypt, the head of this round of the ministerial meeting of the Foreign Minister, Your Majesties, the head of the delegation. We are meeting today within the situation critical in Sudan. The Sudanese capital, Khartoum, since the 15th of April became a battlefront between the army and the RSF, which led to the martyrdom of thousands of people and the flow of many refugees and people fleeing the bloody battles and the scarcity of medicine and food and hospitals which are not working, and the fear of its complete failure for the healthcare system. 23 days of fighting in Khartoum, and 4 years before, since April 2019, of political instability, which led to a problematic transition of power, which could lead to the meeting of fulfillment for the fruitful transition for the Sudanese people, to reach a common interest. I issued an initiative in 19th of April to have a truce, to meet the need of the humanitarian situation in a statement, a humanitarian statement, but unfortunately it did not succeed. Or the truce did not succeed. The 7 truces till now did not succeed to end the bloodshed and end the fighting. And it led to open hardly some corridors for the fleeing of thousands of Sudanese and the fleeing of foreigners, with the participation of the Arab states in preparation and agreement with Sudanese people. The Arab League and the United Nations discussed on the 20th of April the Sudanese crisis, and on the 2nd of May these organizations have Sudan as a participating state. The Arab League asserted in these meetings that the Arabs are asserting in their agreements and communique that they are organizing with these organizations to find agreements which are leading to the benefit and the good of Sudan, and they will withdraw the teams of the UN in Sudan. The ministers of the Arab states did have a meeting at the beginning of May to organize their efforts to face the humanitarian deteriorating situation in Sudan, to enable the Sudanese parties and the Sudanese Red Crescent to make the responsibilities and fulfill the responsibilities, and the Red Cross as well to make sure that the humanitarian and medical aids are reaching Sudan. The heads of delegation, the Arab American initiative to launch indirect discussion between the two warring sides yesterday in Jeddah, 6th of May, to reach an agreement for a ceasefire is requiring support. I repeat again, we should seek and stay close and to this initiative to return to Sudanese stability and provide the security for its sovereignty. We should not allow the current crisis or fighting to continue and become more complicated due to the foreign interference to lead to more division in Sudan and leave it a battlefront which has threatened its unity. We are still suffering from its repercussion and catastrophic repercussion in many Arab states. Our discussions will not end with the Sudanese government and all the different Sudanese parties or the different civil societies or the Democratic Front or the different fronts. We will see these demands by the different factions which require the Arab League to end the fighting and end any foreign interference and support of a political settlement which is agreed upon and provide an Arab immediate support to end the humanitarian crisis. It is good that the initial agreements is including all this. Foreign ministers, Sudan today is at a crossroads. I am confident that the Arab states will always support Sudan to face its challenges for a better future which is deserved by the Sudanese people. Thank you so much. I thank the Secretary General and I announce the end of the opening session, and I invite the media people to leave the meeting hall so we start our meeting. Thank you so much.